All right. Well, welcome to this episode, this Smith in the World panel. I'm Erin Cohn. I'm the director of the Wordle Center for Leadership here at Smith. I'm joined by Emily Norton as my co-moderator, and I will let her introduce herself.
Hi, folks. My name's Emily Norton. I'm the director of the Design Thinking Initiative.
All right, so we'd like to give a hearty welcome to all who have taken the time to join us today, including students, prospective Smithies, faculty, staff, family and friends, supervisors, colleagues, and anybody else who doesn't fit into those categories. Thank you for joining us to hear from these amazingly curious, engaged, and impact-driven students. This is the first panel of the 2025 Smith in the World Conference series. And it's the first panel, but there will be future sessions featuring students in business, finance and consulting, STEM, education, nonprofit and social impact, government law and public policy, arts, media and communications, and then health professions. So there's lots of panels with really interesting and rich experiences to learn about. The Smith in the World Conference celebrates students' off-campus experiential learning, including internships, community service, research, and study abroad. And students reflect in these sessions on how the experiences have impacted and enriched their academic and professional paths.
Great. And so our panelists today will give short presentations about their CLDI immersion experiences that they had during the summer of 2024. And CLDI stands for, as it states on the slide here, Collaborative Leadership, Design, and Innovation. And it's a program that has been sponsored by ourselves at the Design Thinking Initiative, the Wordle Center for Leadership, where Erin leads, and the Conway Innovation and Entrepreneurship Center. And so CLDI connects students with embedded, fully paid summer internships around the world, where they have a chance to practice collaborative change making in the context of a local organization. And our hope is that our students are helping to lead the advancement of socially, economically, and environmentally healthy communities. So this program partners with local host organizations in countries both abroad and within the US, and selects fellows, Smithy fellows, to work in those organizations in teams of 2 to 4. So you'll see teams presenting today. And we support these teams through a course in which they learn about human-centered design, innovation practices, and collaborative leadership prior to their internship experience. And then we help them make some sense of their experience upon return so that they can present today to all of you. This past summer, our CLDI fellows made an impact in Costa Rica, Kenya, Senegal, and Barbados. So we have just a short hour together. And in order to maximize our time, we're going to let our students introduce themselves, and we'll have students share their screens and present back to back without time for question and answer between each presentation. Instead, we ask you hold your questions until the end. Presentations will be about 10 minutes long. So theoretically, we'll have time at the end to open it up for any questions you might have, either for a specific panelist or about a particular internship, or just open to the group. So hold your questions. Today's session is being recorded, as you can see. So we ask that audience members just keep your mics muted and students just unmute when it's your turn to present.
Great. All right, so with that, we're going to hand it over to our first presentation from the first pair of students who worked with Corclima in Costa Rica. So we had 2 pairs presenting on Corclima because we sent 4 students there. So I'm going to turn it over to Ixchel and Mafer.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're excited to share our summer 2024 experience in collaborative leadership, design, and innovation with Corclima in Monteverde, Costa Rica. We are a team of 4 interns, as you can see in the picture, and Ixchel and I will begin with our presentation, and then Lena and Leticia will follow with theirs. So I'll begin. I am Mafer. I'm an international student from Peru, currently in my 2nd year studying psychology, and now I hand it over to Ixchel.
Hi, I'm Ixchel. I'm a junior and I'm an anthropology major. My voice is a little bit shot right now because I'm sick. But yeah, I'm studying anthropology, and we spent the 8 weeks of the summer in the beautiful canton of Monteverde in Costa Rica, working with the organization Clima, which in English stands for Commission Towards Resilience to Climate Change.
Yes, we were supporting and collaborating different sustainable community engagement projects, and this allowed us to know more about the Costa Rican culture, traditions, and immerse ourselves in the everyday life of Monteverde community, while contributing to their mission of fostering community resilience towards climate change.
We worked together at Leticia, which was a bartering center that promotes the practice of circular economy and upcycling. We focused on visually explaining this to visitors, like what a circular economy is. To achieve it, we created 2 different murals, one representing circular economy and the other one representing a linear economy. Yeah.
Here, there is a picture of the 2 murals at the bartering center, the Tilichera. And we also supported the creation of a point of sale for Rutilichar, which is a Tilichera's entrepreneurship initiative. Like this point of sale features products made from donated denim fabrics. And now I am going to share my experience supporting the climate action program at the school. This program aims to provide students with tools to confront climate change through collaborative and playful methodology. So we organized and delivered workshops on storytelling, climate change, sustainable public spaces in community, composting, and we also had a tour to the water spring. I learned so much from the other team members while organizing and delivering each session, and I had a lot of fun with them as well. From the workshops given at the schools, that made me realize that working with the students requires a lot of creativity, patience, and resilience, and that unexpected challenges arose during our sessions, but as a team, we overcame them. And it also made me realize that approaching a new education system more as an educator rather than as a student challenged also my cultural humility. So additionally, we developed the storytelling workshop from scratch with Erin, who is one of the program leaders, and it was an enriching process as well. It gave me the opportunity to learn about curriculum planning and development in both English and Spanish, while also experimenting with new approaches to get feedback from participants, which help us to improve the dynamics and content for future workshops. And finally, I really enjoy supporting the tour to the water spring in Monteverde. It was inspirational and informative, not only for the students, but also for me. And I'm really glad I got the chance to go to this water spring tour. I learned about the local water treatment system. It was also my first time supporting a tour with students, and I'm grateful for this opportunity. And also we could figure out some ways to keep the students engaged and organized during the tour. And with our coordinator, Katie, we started designing a worksheet with questions and challenges to be used on future tours so we can keep the students engaged and during the tours. And that was all about my work experience at the climate action program with Clima.
We also participated in a community initiative that was already happening there called Antes de Ruedas, which means Art on Wheels. I think to me that was just so beautiful because we got to, work with communities, hold community workshops in these places, ideate for murals, and then we all came together to paint on, that picture. It's from the day we had to do it on panels, but most of the times it was on this like big central community wall, like on like a community center or the like local gym or something, like just a big huge mural for everyone to see that everyone participated in making. We mostly had workshops with, young people and elderly people, who were like kind of teaching each other things and like passing on generational knowledge. There's a few examples of the murals in the next slide. Of the murals that we did. So it's just mostly they focused on kind of the traditions of each town, and they all had kind of different focuses that all kind of came together in an idea of like sustainability and how can we, bring back some like traditions and, parts of our culture that are maybe being lost in the modern world that might be more sustainable ways of living. Yeah. Yeah, that's just more pictures. And go ahead, Mafer.
Thank you. Yeah, some of the experiences that stood out to me outside of our work, like we're living with the host family and organizing weekend trips with my fellow interns and Smithies, like also feeling part of a community, bringing people while walking around and having the chance to attend local events. And I also really like that we participated in an auto defense class which Katie organized. It was really inspirational and supportive. And yeah, I really liked the experience working with other smithies, working with communities, being able to engage in different projects where we got the chance to talk to other people and like listening to their concerns about their community and also fostering community resilience through these projects and dynamics.
Yeah, to me, just like one discovery that I really made while working in Costa Rica was just like how, real achievable change can be. Like, it's a lot more accessible than you think it is, honestly. Like, sometimes you just gotta start working on things and like, get projects moving, start talking to people and like working together. And in the end, like all those things really do add up, and like real changes in the community are like super achievable, even when, you build up all these barriers around yourself to think that you're not able to, you know, make real change. But those things really do make a difference. One way I think I really personally grew on this trip was that I just like learned how to work on my own schedule, on my own terms, like plan out my own days. I had to work with different teams and sometimes we might have small disagreements, but at the end of the day, we all shared like this one kind of belief system that I think really united us. Even when we had different kind of design ideas, our principles, our approaches, our priorities, like at the end of the day, our communal beliefs just like made us like, we were all working in this community for this community that we're all a part of. So I think that was just really beautiful. And yeah, my favorite detail of spending time abroad was just like the other Smithies. Like it was so special having the four of us there. It was really beautiful because we could always like rely on each other. You always knew that there was someone who's gonna be down to do something with you. We went on trips to the reserve, to the beach. It was just like I'm so like crazy grateful for everything that happened and for all that joy that I felt. Like I really think it's something special and I'm so glad that I got to experience it.
Yes. And as we get closer to our like to the end, we want to share some pictures about life in Monteverde. There there is us at the Monteverde Institute, at the public library, at our coordinator's house, visiting the water springs in Monteverde, eating ice creams, our Sunday shift we had, and yeah, us together having fun and hanging out around Monteverde streets and watching their beautiful landscapes.
We also did a few like weekend trips and like weekend activities where we went like either around the town or kind of further out. We went down to the beach. We went zip lining. We did so many fun things together, and like I just really couldn't have asked for a better group to do it with. These four people.
Yeah, all of the trips were super, super fun and also yeah, super lovely to spend time with our fellow Smithies. And these are some pictures of our host families and the local events we attended. Thank you so much, especially to Karen, Elian, Ethan, and Luan for allowing us to live with them. I live with this family with Lena, so muchas gracias. And there is Sierra as well, their dog, and Churchill, which is like a typical dessert, and we play bingo as well.
Yeah, and I want to give thanks to Leticia and Javier, who were our host family with Leti. Um, and the dog and all the other we were staying in houses with other like students they were hosting from other programs, and it was just like so fun to be able to live together in that community with them. So yeah, lots of good memories.
So thank you so much for listening to us. We hope that our experiences inspired you as well.
You.
All right, thanks you two. So let's stay with Corklima and we will turn to Leticia and Lena. And I'm loving all the commentary in the chat.
Yeah, I love this too. I love how we all support each other.
Maybe we could switch the order, and I'm wondering if our Busara team is potentially ready to go and be on, if you're on deck and willing to go, and then maybe if Lena rejoins us, then we can go back to Costa Rica after going to Kenya.
Everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Great. Let's see, Mehreen.
Hello, I'm Mehreen, and I was in Busara, the Center for Behavioral Economics in Nairobi, Kenya, with Eugenia this summer. Next slide. So we had a great time, but I'm going to start first just giving an overview of Busara. Busara is one of the first behavioral science research labs in the Global South, and their job is to basically work with other organizations and local governments to analyze and predict the effects of implementation of various policies, and they focus on helping especially vulnerable communities with the focus on like poverty alleviation. So it's called, they say it's behavioral science because they focus on a model that prioritizes behavioral, contextual, and human-centric approaches. For example, something I worked on was the effect of positive friction on microfinance lending to like small loans to low-income individuals. And they use behavioral science and qualitative analysis, I'll talk more about later, to find the effects of these policies. And so they could send recommendations to local governments to utilize it. Next slide. So I'm going to dive right into my part in Kenya. So I'm a senior at Smith. I'm double majoring in economics and data science. So I was a research and advisory intern, and I did a lot of like data science and research work. I've really enjoyed the work culture at Busara because their office was just beautiful. A lot of it was open space, and it was really encouraged to sit outside, sit in the sun and work there. So there was a really good balance of like being with nature and enjoying the natural beauty of Kenya while also getting work done, which was good because they work with a lot of different time zones across the Global South. And you often have meetings like at weird times. So it's, and on your laptops, it's really nice to be able to sit outside and like find a space and have meetings from there. Next slide. So primarily what I worked on as a research and advisory intern was, for example, I co-created a database on all Busara projects since conception. So they had like a neat list of everything they've worked on. So there was no repetition and they could refer to projects back and forth. I also performed qualitative and quantitative analysis on our studio for coding and NVivo for qualitative analysis. This is what I was talking about in terms of positive friction. We like analyzed some interview transcripts and categorize them using a qualitative analysis software called NVivo. I also created presentations on that financial loan positive friction project. And my first ever project was working on awareness on HPV vaccines for young girls and women in East Africa, which was a very interesting project. It was very interesting how behavioral and cultural stigmas and ideas can play such a role in receiving medical care, like choosing whether to receive or not receive medical care. And learning all this made me want to continue working towards like helping vulnerable communities in the Global South and South-South cooperation, which is why I decided to apply these skills to be a communications intern at the South Center in Geneva, Switzerland, when I was there for my fall semester. Eugenia was also there. We went to Kenya and then we went to Switzerland. It was a big year. Next slide. Yeah. So if I had to just like summarize my experiences, I discovered a lot, not just about myself, but about like how multicultural and beautiful international cities like Nairobi can be, because we went to a museum festival and there was representation from so many different countries across the world. And like the multicultural and diverse mix there was incredible. And I also got to connect with my culture there, which was lovely to be able to do so far from home. I also grew a lot as a person. I had to learn to work flexibly because so much work was a mix of online and in person across different time zones, different projects. So it really taught me to work with different kinds of people across different disciplines. And I feel like I'm a lot more flexible now, and I'm much better at time management and collaboration. Also, it's 3:30 a.m. No, it's 4 a.m. where I am right now. So I guess I did learn to work across time zones. And I guess my favorite anecdote was meeting the other interns from other parts of the world and exploring Kenya together. Like we went to a music festival in Mombasa at the beach, and that was a lovely way to connect with the culture there as well as other interns. I'll hand it over to Eugenia now.
Thank you so much, Mehreen. I noticed the slides are kind of lagging on my side, so I hope you guys can see my section already. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm Eugenia. I'm a senior at Smith studying environmental science and policy. I'm originally from Sierra Leone, so going to Kenya, and Sierra Leone is in West Africa, so going to Kenya, the eastern part of the continent, it quickly felt like home away from home. And I'll also touch more on that. For Busara, I was part of the Food, Agriculture, and Resilience Management team. So Mehreen and I did not work together, sadly. But I did a lot of desk research on agricultural projects in Busara's portfolio. So even though I was in Kenya, I had to do work for India, Philippines, and Nigeria as well, trying to edit workshop slides. I edited so many slides over the summer. There was one trying to Busara was trying to corroborate their findings to a community in India, in Odisha, India, and I had to edit the slides for that. It sticks with me because yeah, it was a lot. And I did literature review as well on how to encourage low-income consumers in Kenya to eat more fruits and vegetables. And I also worked on, like towards the end, I worked on a best practices document on gender and behavioral economics. The team at Busara was trying to figure out, okay, how do we best go about behavioral science using a gender lens? And my time at Smith has exposed me so much to the field of gender and how to go about it. So I was excited to jump on this, but it was only a first draft and it was towards the end. So I hope they were able to continue with that project. But with all of these incredible experiences, I think for me, it was more of the intangible aspects I remember as well the most. So Busara has a culture of autonomy and collaboration. And in terms of autonomy, it wasn't just about being left alone to figure things out on your own, but everyone trusts that you can seek support when you need to. So yes, it really helped boost my confidence in that area. And we had these team bonding meetings where we talked about mental well-being and how everyone what tips and tricks people use to stay on top of not being demotivated when the going gets tough. Because for my team, it was so fast-paced. And from the moment I got on the team, there was a lot of work to get done. But everyone made space to actually talk about mental well-being. And for me, it was very important. And I was impressed that they actually had that in mind and made space for it as well. And in terms of experiences, Mehreen already talked about this a little bit, but I would say in terms of food, I was so excited to try Kenyan food. And I was surprised to find that actually the Indian cuisine has a lot of influence on Kenya's cuisine. So I downed a lot of chapati and chai, and it was the highlight of my life. And in terms of professional experience, as I've already mentioned, just the ability to work under pressure was so key for me, and it has helped with even my time in Geneva as well afterwards, and also how to self-advocate. I remember I had such one-on-one meetings with the HR staff just to chat about this, and everyone was so open and so willing to share information, and I was able to network there a lot just with people from other fields, because Mehreen and I never really worked together as well. So most of the teams, they really just work on their own, like as a team. So I had to step out of my comfort zone and just see what other teams are working on, and it's so fascinating. For me, a core memory was meeting my high school friends that live in Kenya and also connecting with the Sierra Leone community there. It was a mini reunion, so to speak. So it was lovely. Yes. Overall, thanks to my time at CLDI, I've been able to apply these skills to a collaborative innovation incubator program at my grad school in Geneva. So just so I can continue practicing the muscles, the CLDI muscles, and actually apply these methods and practices to real life problems. So a special thank you to everyone that made the CLDI program in Kenya possible. And yes, to all students who are on the call, I would highly recommend to try and be a part of CLDI. Thank you.
All right, thanks you two. Okay, great job. So I think if we have Lena here. There's Lena.
Sorry
Awesome,
about
you're
that.
back. Okay, so let's have you two, we'll go back to Curriculum in Costa Rica. And just, I didn't mention this before, but I am giving sort of like a 2-minute warning to folks just to try to make sure everybody's still on track. We would just want to make sure that we don't leave the last pair with only like 5 minutes. So if you, I will just watch for the kind of warning, if you would. All right, take it away.
Great. So we're group 2 that was also in Monteverde, Costa Rica. And you've already heard a brief introduction from our compatriots, but I'm Lena. I use she, her pronouns, and I study government with a focus on international relations.
Hi, I'm Leticia. My pronouns are she, they. I am an engineering major, astronomy minor, and I'm also doing interdisciplinary making concentration.
And we were in Monteverde, Costa Rica, with the Commission for Resilience to Climate Change of Monteverde in June and July of 2024, and we worked on some more technical projects in the Canton of Monteverde. So we worked on all of our projects together, but I'll be presenting on like 1.5, and Leticia will also be presenting on about 1.5. This is the Rutas Eléctricas project, which seeks to connect different electric vehicle chargers across Costa Rica and make it more of a friendly electric vehicle region. And so we worked to map different charging stations for electric vehicles in the region. There's different types, there's different connectors, there's different adapters. So we really got to dive deeply into what makes an electric vehicle run. And we updated and analyzed an already existing data set, as well as created a new data set through visiting and interviewing 50+ different companies or institutions around the Canton of Monteverde. So you see, here's the map that we created of charging stations and an example of what a charging station may look like.
Yes, another project we worked on was Cielos Oscuros, or Dark Skies project. Just a side note, I'm currently near the highway, so there might be sounds of trucks in the background, and I apologize. Yes, next slide, please, Lena. So yeah, the Dark Skies project was a pilot project, and that began after a talk by James, the astronomy professor at the Smith department. And we decided to implement some of the topics about light pollution in Monteverde. So me and Lena, we were researching and contacting different stakeholders, such as the electricity sector and scientists, to talk about the problems of light pollution. A lot of our tasks were also related to creating outreach materials, such as posts and flyers to raise awareness about light pollution. We also measured light pollution levels in different parts of Santa Elena and also Monteverde. And we got to include the 5 principles of sustainable exterior lighting in the Plan Regulador and in the plans for climate adaptation. So the photo shows how light pollution is a problem in Santa Elena, and the bottom photo shows some of the outreach materials that we developed. So this was a fantastic project to work on because it intersects a lot of what I like to do and what is important to me. Yes, if you can move on. Thank you. And the last project we worked on was the Munis Disruptivas, or disruptive towns. And the main focus of this project was to create a green street. If you can move on to the next slide, please. Yeah, so the main focus was to plan a green street in the downtown of Santa Elena. And this was part of a national project that was meant to create more sustainable cities. So me and Lena, we were working on counting and analyzing the data about the current use of the space. So parking lots, public transportation, this kind of stuff. We also gathered ideas and feedback from the community. So the board on, like the image on top shows the board in the Monteverde Libre de Humo, an event we participated, and we gathered a lot of information about how the community wanted the space to be. We also conducted a BioBlitz, and Lena will talk a little bit more about that in a second. And we were so happy and excited when, after our internship ended, we got the news that the project won the biodiversity and inclusion category, and now they have the funds to finally start building the Green Street, and that's super, super cool.
Yeah, so the BioBlitz and Munis Disruptivas in general, I'd say was one of the projects that we got to use CLDI principles the most in. And the BioBlitz actually acted as a source of community engagement because different visitors or locals could map the different fauna and flora species that they saw in the downtown center. And this was a chance over the course of about a week for the community to come together and just give a holistic picture of what biodiversity already exists in Monteverde and what might be lacking. And so there you see Mafer and I went to catch bat sounds, which was super fun, and a couple examples of the flora and fauna that are in the downtown currently.
Yes. So with the brief descriptions of these projects, you can get a glimpse of how the CLDI principles were central to our experiences. So we had to collaborate among ourselves, the coordinators of the projects, and the community. We also had to learn how to hold and give space for leadership. We had to play a lot with design ideas and also with like new innovative approaches to build climate resilience, using technology, using arts, using all the tools that we got. And now shifting gears a little bit, we can talk about the fun activities that we got to enjoy while in Costa Rica. So the first video shows Cataratas del Tigre, reserve with a lot of really amazing waterfalls and hikes. We hiked a lot, so we saw a lot of different species, such as the mushrooms that you can see like orange-ish in the images. We also saw a morpho butterfly. There were so many images. I had such a hard time trying to choose which like images to select. We also got to rock climb a little bit. They had a cultural center with a climbing wall, and we were so excited when we first got there and saw that. We also went to Volcan Poás, a volcano. We went to some of the coastal cities. We enjoyed a lot of like food and drinks. And we did this longest zip line in Costa Rica. And that was definitely like the highlight of my summer.
So we stayed in different pairs to kind of make sure that we were all staying together as a group of 4 rather than just 2 groups of 2. And so Mafer and I had the opportunity to stay with a family in the center, and then Leticia and Ixchel lived in more of a jungle area. And so it was really cool to see the different experiences that we each had, depending on even just where we lived. We did a lot of walking between each other's houses and hung out a lot and got to know both families pretty well. So it was a great time. And so tips for success in this experience and in general with CLDI, with core Clima and Costa Rica, it's really important to have rain equipment because it is very rainy, as you would imagine, in a cloud forest. And a lot of houses don't have clothes dryers, so mold became a major problem for us. As well as taking advantage of the reserves in Monteverde and Santa Elena, because there are so many amazing trails to explore, and as well as having good walking shoes. So wherever you go, just exploring the culture and the climate before you go to make sure that you're prepared. Additionally, I'd say that you'd like to ask for recommendations from your host family and befriend other interns and locals, because being part of the Monteverde and Santa Elena community was a thing that made a huge difference in our experience rather than just being a group that came and went. And finally, touching base with Katie and project leaders to set expectations at the beginning of the internship, and touching base frequently to make sure that the experience is meeting both of your goals. So thank you for listening.
Yay! Thank you so much. It's y'all are so cool. Every year when I hear these presentations, I'm just like beaming. So exciting. Okay, where are we headed next? We are headed to Senegal to learn about Neelie and Mary Claire's experience with Yen Kids Academy.
All right, I'm gonna share my screen. Can you see it? Okay, perfect.
All right, so we went to Yen, Senegal to work at a children's academy called Yen Kids Academy for kids ages 3 to 11. So I'm Neelie. I'm a senior and a sociology and environmental science and policy double major.
And I'm Mary Claire. I'm class of 2026 and I study English and public policy.
So this internship was for people who are interested in climate change activism and entrepreneurship, and who enjoy working with kids, and who are interested in exploring West Africa. So we stayed in an apartment that was about a 10-minute walk away from the school. So each day we would walk down this main road and pass some cows and goats and stuff along the way to the school, where then we would start our school day.
And because we were working in a school, we had a myriad of different tasks and our day-to-day looked different, but we had 3 overarching projects that we worked on. The first was designing and implementing a curriculum in English, entrepreneurship, and AI. The second was using what we did in class to create integrative learning projects that involved the students with the community. And the third was doing professional development and adult education for the community. So first, we taught children age preschool through 5th grade, all who had varying levels of English and came from international backgrounds. We taught English as a language and then also taught specialized courses in English and entrepreneurship and AI. And this was an interesting challenge for me and Neelie because neither of us come from those backgrounds with what we study, but we come from a country that is more developed in those certain areas. So a lot of what we did involved doing research on our own and figuring out how to adapt these complex issues to a very young audience. And for AI, we did a lot of hands-on projects, which included the kids working directly with AI programs, creating art using AI, or as you can see with Neelie, we had a robotics kit that the kids were playing with, and really like working with AI on the ground, like in a very tactile way, and also having conversations about the mixed morality of AI as it enters our world. And with entrepreneurship, we did a lot of other activities with innovation. So giving them two objects and having them combine them and make a new product and then pitch it to us. And then also teaching them about consumers, profit, revenue, and other aspects of starting a business. And with our entrepreneurship course, we created a integrative project in which the students could apply that, creating their own business, which of their choice, which was a lemonade stand, which they launched at the Kermesse, which is the French word for like a community fun fair. So as part of this, we started with a virtual simulation where the students could change prices, they could change ingredients and see how that impacted customer satisfaction. And using that knowledge, they went out and bought ingredients, they designed the stand themselves, we helped guide them through that. And then all of the proceeds from their lemonade stand went back to their student government. So that was something that really empowered them and inspired them. And it was inspiring for us to watch as well. And then finally, we had an unexpected task once we arrived there, which was teaching adults. So we led an English club, which met at night and involved different members of the community, a lot of our coworkers, and we taught English lessons with more of a professional focus, helping to develop adult workers who can be competitive in an increasingly bilingual and international economy. So we held a lot of mock interviews with the community. We taught them about conversations and really worked with them. And this was a really cool experience because we worked with a lot of our coworkers who we got to meet outside of class and get to know as individuals, which was very fun.
All right, so one of the biggest surprises for me, at least, was adjusting to a country where the water is not potable. So we had to buy like so many plastic water bottles every day. We went through so many. And we also both at various points contracted Giardia, which still not entirely sure how that happened, but it might have been from not washing the food with the bottled water as well. But that was definitely like an adjustment. But I think we both grew stronger from that experience. And then an area of growth for me, I think, was I was not especially confident in my French speaking abilities. So at first I kind of like kept to myself in that regard. But then I found that if you are willing to make an effort, people will meet you halfway and you can actually accomplish quite a bit regardless of your ability. So just by reaching out to people and making an effort and showing warmth, they reciprocated. And so here's like photos of our coworkers who took us to the beach, who gave us private cooking lessons at our apartment, and who took us to get custom dresses for a special holiday event. And then some of my favorite experiences for sure were we took a day trip to Dakar, which is the capital. So we got to stay in a hotel and like eat out at restaurants and ride a pirogue, which is one of the local fishing boats that are really common. And we also visited a lot of different craft markets and bookstores and that sort of thing. And then my other favorite experience was working with the kids who were just so funny and friendly. We taught them Miss Mary Mac, the hand clapping game, and they got super into it. And you know, even like the 3-year-olds were like playing clapping games with us, which was so fun and funny.
Yeah, and so I feel like I learned a lot about Senegal as a country, being in it, but I developed a lot as a person, and a phrase that I feel really encapsulates our time in Senegal is "c'est pas grave," which is a phrase that's kind of thrown around a lot in Senegal and translates to "it's not serious" or "it's not dire." And I think that this really helped me because coming from the United States in a very like hustle culture, I was not used to the very more relaxed way of approaching both work and relationships. And I think that that was something that I really grew a lot in. And I think that it super helped having Neelie as a partner who was so warm and playful with the kids and brought me out of my shell a lot. And another thing that I feel like C'est pas grave really encapsulates was the adaptiveness that we both learned, but myself especially, learning to adapt to the challenges of living in a developing country. So, for example, when we didn't have electricity for days, trying to figure out how we make meals or how we cook dinner that night, or when our plans changed for Tabaski, which is the High Muslim holiday, throwing our own tabaski at home, where we played bananagrams and went to the beach, and finding ways to find joy in problem solving and adapting. And my favorite anecdote is for tabaski when our plans were changed. Our coworker very graciously invited us to our house to celebrate with her family. And so Neelie and I got dressed up, and this was maybe not the best idea, but we walked like an hour through different villages to this house, and we were served a huge plate of lamb, and Neelie's vegetarian, so I ended up eating a lot of the lamb, but it was delicious. It was cooked, like killed and cooked that morning in their front yard, so the legs of the lamb were still outside. And that was just, we felt so welcomed and felt the warmth and love of that family and of like the kids at the school as a whole. And it was a great experience. And so going forward, I think for me, definitely I'll take creative problem solving, and that's something that I've already applied, and learning to adapt as a skill. Also, I found joy in innovation, and that's something that I've continued working with the Conway Center in my fall and spring semester here. And I also grew and maintained a lot of cultural and personal connections with people in the country, which is really nice.
Yeah, and for me, I think it was really great to be able to fill in some of the gaps of my perspective, because I think we all know like the media isn't always the most accurate at presenting non-Western countries, and just getting to try new things and sort of expand my comfort zone, and in doing so, you know, having more humility and learning flexibility, and also just the importance of reaching out with warmth to other people and seeing that reciprocated.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, you two. Such a lovely way to get a sense of your experience. It's really amazing life skills built there. Great. All right. Last but not least, we have just these last 10 minutes to hear from our final group that was in Barbados with Secrete. I'm going to let you say the entire name of the organization. So go ahead and take it away, Arisha and Nermeen.
Arisha, you're on mute. You're on mute, my bad. If you can unmute. I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm back. Hello, I'm Arisha. And this is Nermeen, and this is the story of two international students foraying into the Caribbean. The CCRE stands for Caribbean Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency. It is one of the Caribbean Community or CARICOM organizations, which is a little similar to the EU, and it employs people from all over the Caribbean countries. Okay, sorry. So this is us, and I'm a junior engineering major and landscape studies minor, and I'm from Bangladesh.
Hi, my name is Nermeen, and I'm a senior majoring in architecture and urbanism, minoring in landscape studies with a collaborative innovation concentration, and I'm from Tunisia.
So while we were there, we're mainly working with the integrated resource and resilience planning team, and they consult with client countries, they engage with the stakeholders, collect data, and they forecast into the 20, 25 years in the future. So like population growth, economic growth, climate risks and vulnerability challenges like hazards and potential, and produce a report that would help that country achieve their sustainable energy goals. So our main task was to document their process, since they did not have a formal written report of that. So we would attend their meetings. We watched their past meetings. We also did research for their future client countries and produce reports on that. Besides the RP team, we also worked with their HR and finance team. So having conversations about how funds are collected and allocated, how the jobs are divided, how things can be improved, and what our experiences were as interns. And the CCRE also has a knowledge hub. So we also had to do a lot of learning on site, and Neelie can talk more about that.
Yeah, we had a really cool site visits that showed us the initiative of renewable energy around Barbados. Here in the picture on the left, you can see the first commercial windmill turbine in Barbados. We had this site visit with the CCRE team, and it is a really cool initiative because those like wind turbines are uniquely designed to be lowered and secure during hurricanes. That happens often. We'll talk more about that later in the presentation around the Caribbean. And we also met with Dr. Lena Henry, in the bottom left picture, who is university professor for renewable energy at the University of Cave Hill, West Indies Cave Hill, and she's also she has this startup called Raman Sargasm that produces transportation biofuel, and the idea is really amazing because this biofuel is made of rum distillery wastewater and seaweed sargassum, and all of these initiatives, as Arisha said, are supporting the 100% the achieving renewable energy by 100% by 2030, 2023. 2030 in Barbados.
Yes. So from this experience, being surrounded in a culture of people who really care about the environment, because Barbados is a small island and they're much more vulnerable to climate risks, where even the Prime Minister is very vocal about countries taking up responsibility for it, really renewed my interest in the education I am receiving here. And it last semester I did a project on wind power generation, and the next semester I'm taking classes on geothermal energy and green infrastructure. So it really helped me be more inspired to pursue my interest. And also because the work of the RIP team is so dependent on stakeholder management. So some weeks things will be really slow, and some weeks things will be really fast. Like having to adapt to that like flexible work style, and also embracing like taking rest was something I really learned during the job, and I want to cherish that.
Yeah, for me, similar to Arisha, I get insight how it is hard to work with stakeholders and bring all of this group of people like Ministry of Energy and Utilities of other Caribbean countries into one meeting and acquire the data so that CCRE can work with that data. I also learned that professional work can often be messy and doesn't always go as planned, and it also requires adaptability and the ability to move forward even if you don't have all the informations needed. And yeah, the experience overall taught me to be flexible and resilience in professional setting. And moving forward, as I'm now soon will be a Smith graduate, I'm looking into a graduate school that focus in architecture and urban planning, but also have a good focus on renewable energy and sustainable built environment.
Now, on to some of the more fun parts. So when we first got there, we were not used to the public transport system in Barbados. Like, they have their government buses and their private minivans, and those minivans do not really have a formal route. They don't have fixed schedules, and they're always like overcrowded. They're competing with other buses. They're over speeding up. The radio music is super loud, and it was an experience like that took some time to get used to. But looking back, I think I really look back fondly at it. It was a very Caribbean experience.
Yeah, I'm just seeing Leticia in Barbados. You should take one, Zadar. Yeah. We also had a kind of a surprise Category 5 hurricane. It's called Beryl Hurricane that we got to experience. And this is Arisha's cart stacking up on water and food because we were expecting there's going to be water and like electricity outages. But this experience like made us appreciate CLDI's work even more, and their efforts like being crucial in safeguarding the Caribbean nations and minimizing the devastating impacts of climate related disasters.
And since we were in the Caribbean, we were essentially surrounded by bodies of water, and they were beautiful. We were luckily within walking distance of 2 incredible beaches, so that's where we usually went on the weekends, and it really helped us de-stress.
Yes, the beaches were really amazing.
And this is yeah, do you want to talk about Nermeen?
Sure. Yeah, this is us eating roti sandwich for the first time in the office, kind of like lunchroom. It's a little bit outside of the office with the other CLDI team members. They took us to get roti with them. This like sandwich was really flavorful, like so many spices in it, but unfortunately we couldn't finish it because it's just big. But it was a really cool experience to have like lunch and experience this food culture, even though roti aren't really a Bajan thing, but so many people in Barbados eat this sandwich.
And this is us in our first and only World Cup cricket game. We did not know what was happening, but there were 2 people sitting beside us that explained the game throughout. It was quite fun. So that was the end of our talk, and thank you to all for attending, and special thank you to the CLDI team, Erin, Emily, Andrea, and Renee for mentoring us before internship and supporting us throughout it. And to the CLDI team, thank you, Cherian, for attending this talk, and Amber, and Mr. Elson, John Michelle, Giovanni, and the entire RP team. Thank you all.
Thank you all. That was just a big round of applause. Erin used the right word. I am just beaming, and someone just wrote in the chat how inspired and hopeful they feel, and I feel that as well. So huge, big ups. It was just incredible. Unfortunately, we don't have any time for questions, so this will conclude today's Smith in the World panel. Thank you again to our just incredible panelists, and thank you to our audience for coming. We really hope you enjoyed the session as much as we did, and encourage you to register for more upcoming Smith in the World panels. I'm going to drop the link in the chat so that you can register to see more amazing Smithies present on their experiences all over the world. So thank you, and thanks to Emily and the Lazarus Center.
Thanks, y'all. We're so proud of you. Please stay in touch with us for like the rest of your lives. We're always here.